There are hundreds of contradictions in the Bible, and can you mention one of them, and what have you done to prove it that it's actually a contradiction? Another question
that's
is,
an easy one.
Another question is, what do you do about prophecy? I know the fulfilled prophecy that is in the Bible.
I don't believe most of the Bible, so I don't believe in prophecy. Most of the prophecies that have come true has been self-fulfilling prophecies. Israel returned to their land. It said it in the Old Testament. Well, of course, if you're a Bible believer, if you're an Israelite or a Jew, you're going to go into Israel. What type of prophecy fulfillment is that?
Well, let's put it this way. I come to this country. I'm not from this country. I come to this country. If I live in this country, within 2 generations, my descendants, my beliefs, my culture is going to completely wiped out. It's going to be gone.
And what culture is that?
Let's say I'm from Mexico. Okay? Within 3 or 4 generations of my family, they would totally submerge themselves to the customs and to the cultures of the United States. They would completely be wiped out. How come the Israelites, the people of Israel, have been able to keep their identity for 2,000 years?
And that's a real good question, and I have no clue. I'm not an apologetic atheist.
They have a shared language. And if you leave Mexico and come up here, what happens generally is that your kids tend to lose their language and their understanding of Mexico. Well, nobody's leaving Israel. And they have a shared language that they've shared for hundreds of years. And so it's
what language is that?
Hebrew? They speak a lot of Hebrew.
No, that wasn't reinvented until the 1920s. That died out in about 200 AD. Then they were scattered throughout the entire world. They spoke different languages.
I'm going to stop you right there. That's a good point both made, but I'd rather get to your particular presentation.
Yeah, this is another subject, I guess.
That's a good subject, another one to talk about later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when I started
Doug wants to continue. We have to continue on your presentation.
Well, I'm not giving a presentation. The guys are going to ask specific questions.
Oh, questions.
So he was raising the question about the prophecy.
That was the start of it then.
That was the start about the prophecy.
I might not know many questions, especially if it has to do with the Bible. Even though I've read it, since I don't believe it, I don't go much further except for certain verses. You, sir, you haven't asked a question yet.
Yes. So you don't believe in heaven?
That's right.
You don't believe in hell?
That's right.
You don't believe in eternal life?
Eternal life. No, I think that was made up to get people to do what the leaders at the time wanted to get them to do.
Okay. What's about if what you believe is true? When we die, that's
it, buddy.
Right?
Let's see, that's one thing that actually is. I'm going to have your. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Okay, let me answer it before you ask it. No, then I would be Jesus. No, I'm kidding. We actually have a lot in common. You live your life because you want to get to heaven under your rule book. I want to live my life under no rule book, but I want to live my life as good as I possibly can because I know there's no afterlife. So we both are going to behave very well, support our families, go to work, try to live life in the fullest we possibly can, discover new things if we can. So, because when you die, you're going to be away from this world. It's kind of the same thing I am, it's just that I'm not going to be anywhere. I believe everybody is not going to be anywhere. So what's your question?
That's what you believe.
That's right.
How about the we believe is true?
Well, I mentioned that before under Pascal's wager. If I get to heaven, if I get to the pearly gates, and God's there and Jesus is sitting next to me, aha, Bruce, I got you now, they're going to say, you preached atheism all this time, and now we have a decision to make. And I go, you know, God, Jesus, I did the best I can. You gave me the free will to decide on my own. I treated all my friends and family, and even people I don't even know, total strangers, friendly. And I tried to live my life as best I possibly can, very much like what you have. If you want to send me to hell for being a really good guy simply because I don't believe in you, I guess that's where I'm going. And you know what Mark Twain said? You'd much rather be in hell because there's much more interesting people there. I don't want to go to hell either. I don't believe there's a hell. I don't believe there's a heaven. I believe that our soul, well, I guess I have to back up. I have to believe that there is no soul. You remember your question? You remember your question? Okay, go ahead. One at a time. One at a time. Yes, sir.
It was just right around the boundaries were about hell and heaven. Same thing. I think in your statement you kind of mentioned about morals and how you guys have, how atheism itself has actual morals. See, I guess just me looking at it logically, just like he said, if I were to believe that there was no hell, no heaven, then there wouldn't be no difference for me helping an old lady across the street.
Oh yes,
and then
there would.
No,
I asked you that earlier.
Well, let me finish. Let me finish. And I guess that's what I would. That's where I would think that me, if there was no God, then it wouldn't really matter. I'd rather go out and party. I'd rather go out and have all the fun that I can.
Anyway?
And no, because I think that I need to live a conservative.
Well, if you had a 15-year-old, wouldn't you go party with your quinceañeras? Is that how to pronounce it? Quinceañera? Quinceañera? Wouldn't you party with that way? Wouldn't you party at your 15-year-old's birthday party? Wouldn't you party with them? Yes.
No, of course not. I try to live as you know. I try to be respectful to my to myself, to my body, especially because I believe in a higher.
Why would I not do that?
Well, no. I was just trying to get at you because you mentioned about morals in your statement. It's just interesting to me how you don't believe in a higher authority, yet you have certain morals, but you said they were sometimes upside down or something like that. You mentioned, I don't remember exactly, but you said you have your own moral book, yet you're not real.
That's
Can
correct.
you touch that?
You want to know where my morals come from, maybe?
Exactly.
Is that a question? Okay, I can tell you that. Very simply, it's an innate meaning internal feeling that I have. Even if I didn't have a family, I would still know what my moral code would be. But my upbringing, my family taught me, hey, you know, do this, you get this consequence. Do that, you get that consequence. On the school grounds, when you're 6 years old, you hit somebody, you go into the corner for 5 minutes. There's a consequence for that. And you learn your morals from your environment and, I might add, under Doug's suspicion, evolution. They have so many moral tests for animals that prove that even animals, rats, mice, monkeys, most mammals have morals. I'll give you one example, and you can research this, and this is what, don't believe me, go ahead and go research this stuff, because this is fascinating stuff. This is what a scientist do, and you can repeat it at your own home. It's just incredible what we could do. What they did was they did with 3 different species of monkeys, and they started lowering the mammals down until they got to mice and rats. But I'll tell you about the monkeys. They put, you know what a Skinner box is? I'll tell you what a Skinner box is, you probably don't know. Have you seen the pigeon in a cage knocks on the target and it gets a little pebble of food? That's what's called a Skinner box. It only takes a couple hours for some animals, sometimes a couple days, to learn that they're going to peck on the food. They don't even have to start pecking on the food. They just see this big target, they kind of look over there and, oh, there comes some food, right? Some interesting things about the Skinner box I'll add later. But a Skinner box is to how to get food under a particular task that you have to learn. If they put a monkey in a box with a Skinner target and he gets the food, and he learns that until he knows what the target will produce, then they add another cage with the same species monkey, but not of his family, hooked up to electrodes, small electrodes. They're not going to kill the monkey. You know, they're not like taking off his brain or anything. Every time the first monkey touches a Skinner target, the second monkey whoop, gets his little zap. How many times do you think it took each species of monkey on average to learn not to hit the Skinner target? Because their buddy over there is going to get zapped. Now, if they had no morals, screw them, I'm going to eat. Screw them, I'm going to eat, right? No morals. 4 times was the average. And you can look this up. It's just amazing. And this is where I kind of answer, if we come from that, now I know Doug's going to be suspicious of this because he thinks that God created humans, and of course I have to ask him about the DNA, and I will ask you about DNA on Thursday. If anybody wants a DVD of Thursday's talk, it's kind of loaded up right now, but I'll be happy to supply copies for you, or give you the one DVD and you can copy it for you. But if we came from mammals, which most evolutionists say we do, and paleontologists say we do, if that's true, we have the same built-in morals. We have the same morals inside of us, whether or not we're with a family, with a group, although a family and social group order does inspire more thinking the right word, consequences. It inspires more consequences because if you're alone, you know, you don't have too many consequences to judge. If you hit a tree, nothing's bad going to hit, you know, going to happen to you. So it's our innate morals, our family morals, and our social upbringing. And I want to touch on one point about that because I find that people